Hi everyone and welcome to Flosstube number 51. I am back with an update on all of my cross-stitch projects that I have been doing for the past 2 weeks. I also have changed the lens on my camera, so maybe this will be a little bit of a better place to share all my cross-stitching. We'll see. We'll see. I have a little bit of haul that I want to share with you, and I kind of want to talk a little bit about the lens, and then at the end I'm going to talk about all of the fun things that I've been up to in the past 2 weeks, because this has been a fun week. But first we're gonna start with the cross-stitching, and to any returning viewer, thank you so much for coming back. It warms my heart that you want to spend some time with me, and if you are new here, hi! My name is Marika, I come from Stockholm, Sweden, where I live with my boyfriend and my 2 cats, and this channel is mostly about cross-stitching, and I hope that you want to come back. But to do that, you might want to see my cross-stitching first, so let's jump into that. So now we have all of the stitching, and we're going to start off where we left off with the Blackwork birds design from the Cross Stitch Gold collection, birds collection, that was published in 2024, so it's new out there. I picked it up in the World of Cross Stitching app. There's also a Cross Stitch favorites app where you can get all of the favorites also. So whatever app, however, they don't transfer between the apps, I realized, so choose an app and go with that. And anyhow, this is designed by Fiona Baker, and this is how their version looks like. I have changed the fabric, so I am going with Azure Blue, 32 count even weave by Zweigart, and this is how far I came. So this is 24.8% out of all of the designs. So I'm gonna do all of the designs, and that is the cross stitching is 24.8%. The back stitching I'm actually not tracking, but I did 2 whole days of just back stitching on this until I just couldn't do anymore. This is the one that has the most intensive back stitching. The other ones have a little bit less intense. So when this is done, and I will stitch the rest of them on this, it's a big enough fabric, I can just, it's gonna be a little bit easier and a little bit quicker. But yeah, this is how it looks. It is stitched 2/1 for the 2/2 for the cross stitching, and 1/2 for the back stitching, or most of the back stitching, and Blackwork. So yeah, that is my first project. My second project is a new start. It is Autumn Love by Lori Holt. And this was, I think, the October sale for Fat Quarter Shop in 2022, and they just released what is going to be the October sale for 2024, and it is a very cute little scarecrow, and I decided that, hey, I want to have the October sale stitches like on a quilt on a wall, like make it as a quilt. Like not make the quilts, because they do have their quilt counterpart, but make the stitching and then sew them together so it looks like a little quilt. But yeah, this is how far I come, or this is how it's gonna look. I'm a little bit rusty, okay? But this is how it's gonna look, or their version looks. I have changed the fabric, which I have is Vintage Mocha 32 count even weave, and this is how far I came, which is 28.8 inches. There we go, 28.8%. I'm a little bit tired. It is Friday lunchtime, so yeah, but yeah, this is how far I came. I have stitched this with the Charted DMC 2/2, which I always stitch on 32 count. So yeah, that is my first new start. Now I needed a second new start because I had seen this as the coming up in next magazine on World of Cross Stitching, and when the magazine came out I'm like, I need to start this now. So this is the design. It's called Dreamy Ship. It is by Abdel-Hadi. I think that is how you pronounce that. Perry Abdel-Hadi. Yeah, anyhow, she does lovely designs, and I love this little ship. It was from the World of Cross Stitching magazine issue 346, June 2024, so it's the latest magazine that is out, and I stitched on it for 2 days. I have switched out the fabric to vintage teal marble because it looks like a sea, and here you go. There you go. That is the how much I've gotten. It is 53.1% done. It has a whole piece down here that should be done. But by day 2, the new WIPGO numbers came out. I'm like, I'm gonna stitch WIPGO, and then maybe I can get back to that a little bit later. So if you don't know what WIPGO is a kind of gamification of getting work on your WIPs. It was created by Jessie Does Stuff over on YouTube a couple of years ago, and she'd been doing it, like doing the drawing of the numbers and everything. What you do is you set up a bingo board that is 5 by 5 boxes, so 25 boxes in total, and you add your WIPs however you want to them. You give your WIPs something you have to do, and different WIPs can have different ones. Like, I want to stitch on this WIP 2 days, so I put it on this part, but this WIP I want to stitch on 4 days, or so many stitches, or whatever. I have chosen to take 3 of my 4 full coverage, the 3 projects that I currently are working on, and I have just sprinkled them out on the board. I did a random generator to place them on the board, and every project should get 1500 stitches or 4 days, whatever comes first. And this month number 13 was drawn, and as number 13 often can be done as a freebie or similar, and we need to have like 1 month in the year we'll have 3 numbers instead of 2. Jessie have chosen the 13 to be, if the 13 comes up, we are also gonna choose a 3rd number for that day, or for that month. So this month we have 3 numbers, including number 13, and I have chosen to actually put something there. So I have 3 projects that needs to be worked on for 1500 stitches, and all of my projects came up this year, or this month. So yeah, I have already done 2 out of 3 of those WIPGO goals, so I'm gonna show you my projects. So the first one I picked up was the Over the Rooftop, or as it now is called, Christmas House 1. It's by Artecy. I have stitched this on 25 count even weave, which I have gridded with fishing line. I started this in December of 2018, and this is how far I come. So that is the project. This is how it's supposed to look. See, sometimes I'm a little bit, yeah, but this is how it's supposed to look. And I have stitched on this part of the project. So basically just 1.5 10-inch wide diagonal. So I've gotten a little bit further out here. So yeah, and one day I am going to make a tutorial on how I do diagonal, but right now I just haven't had time. So the second WIPGO that I have is the Mini Sunset Owl by Artecy. And before I go into it, I just want to note a little bit about AI, because this image is made by AI and it makes my heart hurt. And I think I've taken a decision when I recorded the previous clip that I needed to remove, so because I had to reshoot this. But yeah, This is actually an AI. I found out after I started that this is AI, and Artecy does AI. I will stitch on everything I have, but I will probably not support Artecy anymore because I don't support AI images. So let me just explain why I doesn't do that. Everyone can make their own decisions. I'm not judging anyone for their decisions. I'm going to tell you why I'm not supporting AI. So first of things, all the cross-stitching we do are done by designers. They are artists that have done images, and then we have converted them to cross-stitching, and then we cross-stitch them. AI, all the AI engines that exist right now, this is the 3rd of May 2024. All of the engines that exist right now, all are using copyrighted images without licensing. So they are going against copyright rules. What they're doing is using the images and then add the images together to make new art. There's a big difference between an AI making art and a human making art. An AI is just amalgamation of things. It takes a little bit here, it takes a little bit here, it takes a little bit here, and just pushes it together. The difference between that and a human who uses references is that a human that does references usually have like a style of drawing that they have learned from all their years in life. So everything, like I am an artist, I'm a designer, I'm not a very good one, I'm learning, but I am a designer. And when I design something, I have reference images because reference images are good. It can be a bunch of different photos. It can be photos that I have taken. It can be photos that I have the right to use, like that are either in the public domain or that I pay for to use as reference images to make my idea come through. I personally don't do photorealistic art, but if I would do photorealistic art, those references I would need to actually license from the photographer to be able to use. So there's a whole chain there. But also the style that I do is usually an amalgamation of different styles that I have picked, maybe how they shade that kind of a thing, or how I see the sun, or how I do these things. I see nature, I see all of these things, and they together create me as an artist. An AI engine doesn't have all of the other things. They just have the art to go for. And because it just have the art to go for, it basically replicates the art with some differences. And this is not okay. It is taking someone else's images and just tweaking them a little bit to make art. And I don't see it's okay, because those designers and artists doesn't get paid for that. There are a big drive within art community to actually, for the people, the artists that want to be able to license their images to these AI engines. However, that is far, far away, and a lot of the AI engine says, but we can't afford to license it. So they basically say, we're gonna steal it because we can't afford it, and that is not okay. And there are things going up in court. There are some decisions made that they have been made not based on if it's illegal or not, but other grounds, and so on and so forth. And I continue to follow it. But for me personally, because the artists are not getting any money, the people who are using AI are basically just sidestepping the artists. I don't feel like supporting that. So when I find out that this was AI, I realized that it was AI because I had gotten this as a freebie. I had started stitching it, and then I'm like, oh, who made this? Who is the designer? Because I didn't think so. And then I saw that they had it as AI, and that made me very sad. However, I've come pretty far on it and I want to finish a part of it. So I think I'm just going to stitch this little corner. Now this image is no longer available. It was a freebie for a month and then it was removed. So I don't know if it's ever come back, but for me, I don't support AI. And this is also when I'm looking for new full coverage images to work with. I'm gonna try to figure out how to do that, to pull from companies that doesn't use AI, because I want to work with companies and do cross-stitching, buy my cross-stitching from companies that really appreciate the designers that are actually behind these beautiful images that we are stitching. But yeah, that's my long way of showcasing my mini sunset owl. Because I'm now have decided that I'm not gonna fully finish this. This have a whole piece down here. It's supposed to be about 40,000 stitches. It's still a lot to do. I have the whole piece here, but I'm just not going to go with that. I am going to finish this little corner so that I have a full rectangle, and that is it. Then it's done. But this is stitched on a 25 count potato even weave by Zweigart. And yeah, that is my progress. That was 1500 stitches. Still, I don't feel happy about stitching on it, but I don't just want to throw away all of those hours of work. So I'm gonna finish the corner and then I'm done. And if I finish this before WIPGO, all of the WIPGO draws for that, I'm just gonna fill that in with something else. Replace it with a designer who isn't AI, and a company who doesn't support AI. I heard that Unconventional Stitches is actually against AI, and I hope they stay that way. But yes, that was my second to last project. Now I have a third my last and third for WIPGO, which is Gamer Nouveau by Medusa Dollmaker. This is a kit that I bought from Gecko Rouge. Gecko Rouge doesn't have Medusa Dollmaker anymore. However, Medusa Dollmaker sells the patterns in their Etsy store, so you can get the pattern, just the PDF, from them. So I have that linked in my description all the time so that you can pick it up if you want to. I really like buying the pattern from the regular designer, but getting this from Gecko Rouge with the whole kit, that's just it. That worked great. I must say Gecko Rouge has a great support. Sometimes things go wrong, and this kit went wrong. I discovered fairly early in my stitching journey that they had accidentally flipped a color. So there were two colors that were flipped on my color card. They don't have the DMC numbers on them, they have just regular numbers on them, and they were flipped, so the little colored boxes that were there showcased that the lighter color was, a dark and a light color was flipped. And I contacted them and I got some threads. While I have been stitching now, I haven't even stitched the full length of it for this width, and I started to see that some of my threads were running out. So I measured all of my threads, calculated how many stitches I had left of them, because a markup RXP showcases how many stitches you have per color if you go into the key section, you click on the color, you can see how many stitches are left, and I calculated how many stitches I would need to get out of each length, and realized that that is way too little, that is not enough materials. And I contacted them, and I think what has happened is that I have gotten a 1/1 kit, but it was sold to me as a 2/1 kit. And what they did was they were very nice. I got to send a couple of pictures to them to showcase my design or how much I had stitched, and they ended up sending me another 1/1 kit with the threads, and that arrived a couple of weeks ago. And things can always go wrong. Like, I have accidentally sent the wrong fabric to a person. It can happen. I tried to triple check that everything is correct, but sometimes I've had, I think it's now over 500 or over 700 or 800 orders, and I think I had 1 or 2 that I have packaged the wrong things or the wrong amount or something. It can happen. That's just how it is. It is how you respond as a seller, what kind of customer support you have, that makes the difference. And I must say Geckoers has really good support. So shout out to Allison, that was the supporter. Yay, thank you so much. I now should have enough threads to work on this project. Thank you. And this is how it's supposed to look. And this is where I am. So I have stitched about 1,000 stitches so far. Around 1,000 stitches. 500 more stitches to be done on this before I'm done. But I got from here down and down there. And yeah, that is the Gamer by Medusa Dollmaker. And yeah, that was all of the stitching. I have a little bit of a haul talk, and then we move on to the personal things, the happy things that have happened. But yeah, on to haul. So let's talk haul. I have 2 little hauls. Well, I have 3 if we talk about lens, which I'm going to talk about after I've gone through the cross-stitchy haul. So the cross-stitchy haul, first I have a friend of mine who was selling stuff on Facebook Marketplace or a Facebook group or something. The post came up in my feed. It was a UK only, but the post came up in my feed. So I just went through it and I sent a message to her privately. Hey, do you have these things still left? Can I pick them up? And she's like, yeah, here you go. So I bought them from her. The first thing is a very old magazine. This is from 2003. So yeah, 2003. It's a very old magazine. I used to have a whole collection of these. Sadly, I gave them away. I'm regretting giving these away because you can't get them digitally and stuff. But yeah, she had this one. I thought it was so cute. It's little Pluto, and that's the only reason why I bought it. So I picked this little one up. It has a lot of like teeny tiny designs, an alphabet, some birds, a few stuff. Yeah, really happy. Then she was also selling a couple of like new unopened A Year in the Woods designs by Cottage Garden. It is the birdies. I think I want to pick up all of these, but we'll see if I'll do in the future. She only had 3, so I picked up 3. She had the swans, which they're beautiful. This one, the woodpecker. It's a gorgeous dude. And then let's see, so that we have the proper light in here. And then we have the bald eagle. So yeah, those were the 3 I picked up from her, which I really like. So we'll see when I start these, but now I have them at least, which is awesome. The second little haul is not so little. It is this one. This is a DMC 500 gram cone of 310. So I actually like 310. I know that a lot of people say that the coverage isn't as good, but I use my 310 mostly for doing like outlines, for cross-stitching from like the magazines and stuff. But I do use quite a lot of black, and I've been going through a couple of skeins here, and I was feeling like either I need to buy more skeins, which are fairly expensive here in Sweden, or I'm gonna buy myself a cone of doom, as they also are called. So this is the equivalent of like 270 skeins of black. Yeah, it's which basically it goes down to like 30 cents a skein for me. Now if you're a US person, you can get this for I think around $60 or something, if it's even that high. With shipping and everything, it cost me $84, but it is worth it because now I have black for the rest of my life. Yeah. I do have a couple more skeins, cones. I have one other 500 gram cone, which is white, and then I have 3 cones, 2 gray and 1 brown of the 100 gram cones. The 100 gram cones isn't as good as value, and they are not as easy to get by. I got mine from a friend from the UK. I bought up kind of her used ones, so she had a little bit on them, or quite a lot on them actually, but I do want to buy a couple more of the 100 grams of the colors that I use more regularly, like the 3865 and such. But yeah, that was all of the cross-stitching haul. So I do have one little haul left, and that is this little lens. So right now I am recording on my regular camera, which is a EOS 90D Canon. It is a DSLR and it's their mid-range, so it's not a full frame camera, which are expensive, and it's not the cheaper DSLRs, it's the kind of mid-range of their DSLRs. It takes most of, or it takes all the lenses that a full frame camera can take, so it's a very good place to be when you start for doing photography and stuff. It's about $1,000 camera, so it's still a pretty expensive camera, but I've had, well, this one I actually only had for a year because I needed to, my 70D broke and I needed to replace it. If it hadn't broken, I probably wouldn't have replaced it, and I also had my 70D for quite some time, so instead of fixing it, I just replaced it, but I could just have fixed it and it would have costed me less. But I was looking at the 90D because this have 4K, which is actually something that I have turned on. So we'll see how the 4K will look and if it's worth recording, because the file sizes are huge. Anyhow, this camera is what I've been recording for the past year. I have multiple lenses to this camera because it is a DSLR, it has different lenses that you can use. And when I started doing my videos, I used a 1770 Sigma lens. Probably doesn't say that much to you. If you're not a photography person, it probably doesn't say. But a few things with that camera. One, it has a fairly big aperture, which means it brings in more light, which means it's better for lower light conditions. And number 2 was that it is a macro lens, so it has a wider view. And third, the Sigma is a little bit more clearer than the Canon kit lens was the one that I got with the camera. That broke because I wasn't treating it. I was supposed to. I've been trying to figure out if I can get it fixed. Found out that just to get it looked at, I need to pay $75. And that doesn't mean that it can be fixed. I can't replace it because they don't no longer produce it. So I was looking at the next generation, which is the 1855 or 18 something Sigma lens. However, that is a $1,000 lens, and a $1,000 lens, it's deep in my heart to go and pay that much for a lens. So I've been looking and looking and looking, and then I found a couple of videos about like better lenses for your camera, and the 1018 Canon lens came up. It is a macro lens, so it does have this wider, as you see more of me now when I record than the last video, and that is just because of the lens. Also because it's a 1018 lens, I'm sitting about this close to my camera, which means I can have the camera on my table and still you get to see quite a lot which is awesome. So it gives me a better space. You see a little bit more of my projects and stuff, the mess I have on my table, but you get a little bit more than just a white wall, and I was hoping to give that to you. So this lens, in the place I usually buy my camera gear, they had it for $320. However, I picked it up on Amazon for $250. So I did get a $70 rebate, which is very, very nice to find that much cheaper lens. I really like it, and I hope you like it too. And I hope you like the new place. So please tell me if you like the video in 4K, if you like how it sits, all of those things would be awesome to hear. But yeah, so that is all of my haul. So let's jump into all of the fun stuff I've been doing this past 2 weeks. So for the past 2 weeks, I have been doing a lot of fun stuff. I mean, a lot of fun stuff. So for the past 2 weeks, when I left you off, or when I recorded last video, it was on a Friday, just like this. This is around lunchtime. It was around lunchtime then. And the reason for doing that was because we had all of Saturday booked up, because it was a Kulturnatta, which is basically a culture night here in Stockholm, which only comes once a year. What it is that between 6 and midnight on that day, most cultural things are open. Sometimes the whole museums or galleries are open. Sometimes it's a smaller part of the museum or gallery is open to kind of showcase what they have, and they're open for free. So you can go around all of Stockholm, and there's so many things you can do. I was looking at the list, and one of the things was there was a art gallery that actually had a 6-hour kind of something you can just join. You go there and you're there for 6 hours and get it immersive. It's like a pre-collection to a collection that will come out later this year by a specific artist. Did not do that because, hey, we wanted to do some things. We went to Djurgården here in Stockholm, and that is an island that houses, among other things, the Tivoli or amusement park of Stockholm, which is Gröna Lund, which is a very, very small amusement park compared to like Disney or other places. It is a lot smaller. But yeah, it's a very nice place. That was closed though. It was opened for a like a company had their thing there, so it wasn't open for the public. But the other things that is on Djurgården is Skansen, which is a outdoor museum, they call it. Part of it is like old houses from different time zones, places in and around the whole of Sweden, and a part of it is actually animals. So it's also a zoo, but it is just like local animals from the Nordics. So we did go there, but we're gonna start where we started at 6 o'clock. Right, 5. We went there at 5 because we wanted to eat something. Realized that the only restaurants that was open was these fancy restaurants that took a hand and a foot for anything food, and we were definitely not dressed for that. We were dressed for cold weather because it was like 2 degrees warm or something. But yeah, we ended up getting food a couple of hours later, but we started at Vasa. Vasa is a museum based on one boat. I think it's from the 1600s. Not fully clear, but I think it's from the 1600s. It was this big warship with cannons and everything, big wooden warships, sails, cannons, all of this. Beautifully colored everything that went on its maiden voyage. It was sadly full with crew. And when it went from the what's called the when it went out into the sea outside of Stockholm, it got its first wind and it toppled over and sank because the boat was built wrong. It was built way too high, and because of that, when the wind came, it just toppled and sank, which is very, very sad because there was a lot of people died in that back in the 1600s. However, when it sank, where it sank, it was a lot of mud. I think it's mud, basically. So it sank down into it, so that the wood were never kind of chewed down, so they could pick it up, which they did in the 80s, I think, 70s or 80s. They picked it up and it was fully preserved. It is starting to break now because it has been out, but you can go and see that ship, which I think is kind of cool. And there's a lot of history about it, and you can also see the people that were on the boat and kind of things about them and so on. But why we went there wasn't because of that. We went there because they have a Lego exhibit where they built that ship in Lego and other ships in Lego, and that was cool. So I was really happy to be able to go and see that. And we were there like the first people there, and because we were one of the few people that went there just for the Lego. When we came into the Lego exhibit, it was basically empty. It was really, really nice. I don't like a lot of people, so going to something like Kulturnatta is very stressful for me. I did have my loop here earbuds though, and they actually seem to help. So that is something I'm trying out. We'll see. They kind of remove some of the swirl that you have, so it kind of reduces that. The next place we went to was the Nordic Museum, and I did not really like it. It was very, very loud. It was very, very much people. It was way too much people. Like, you couldn't even see things. Like, it was just lines going slowly, and some places you couldn't go around. You had to go back again. Nah, I didn't like it. We were there for maybe half an hour. And then we met up with a friend, and then we went to Skansen because we were talking about having something to eat. We couldn't really find a proper place to eat, like just having a burger or something. We had to leave Djurgården to do that, and we didn't want to. And then I said like, hey, maybe there's food at Skansen, which is what actually was. We found a restaurant there that was very quiet. I got Swedish meatballs with potatoes and cream sauce, and my boyfriend and our friend, they got the calops. So we had really good food there, but we walked also around. One of the reasons why I wanted to go there was because they have elks or mooses. They have mooses, and I wanted to take some pictures of the mooses and send to my brother. And also when we got there, we found out that the bears had woken up. So there were four brown bears in the enclosing, and they were running around and playing and having fun. And yeah, it was so fun. I don't ever think I've seen bears, like real bears, before. I don't remember. I've been at Skansen before, but I don't remember seeing them. So I'm really, really happy I was able to do that. They also have musk ox, I think they're called. They're like bison but smaller, if I'm not mistaken, and it's the only like natural ox animal in the Nordics, so that was cool to see those. But yeah, it was really nice walking around there, and then we finished our evening at an art gallery called Liljevals. It was a lot of modern art. I don't really understand modern art. I'm gonna be honest, I don't understand modern art. They use things that I wouldn't use, and yeah, I think you have to know about modern art and stuff. I don't know. I like drawings, I like paintings, I like all of those things. But it was nice to see them anyhow. And yeah, that was that was that evening. We walked home. We walked over like 23,000 steps. My feet hurt so bad. On the way home, the buses and trains that go to Djurgården, they were all full, so we had to walk back, which was like 2 or 3k to get to the central station and get to our train. And I had to stop multiple times because I had so much pain in my feet. I hardly could get anywhere. It was so slow going, but I got there. I got there in the end. We got home in the end. Last weekend, I don't think we did anything special, like went shopping and stuff, because that needs to be done. And then on this Wednesday, the 1st of May, the 1st of May here in Sweden is a bank holiday, I think you call it. Basically, it is the Workers' Day, and the idea is that you should have one day when you can go out and demonstrate for your working rights, or anything else you want to demonstrate for. But you don't have to demonstrate, you can just take a day off and breathe. And that was what I did. Me and Christopher, we actually went on a 3-hour-long walk. It was 9.5 kilometers that we walked, and it's a lot of steps and hills, so it's a lot of road to cover. We went on the eastern side of Brunnsviken, which is an inlet where closer to where we live, so we could actually go from our apartment and just walk a little while, and then we get to Brunnsviken. And there's basically, from where we are at the northern tip of it. The southern tip is kind of the opening out, I think, or if it's in the middle. Yeah, there's we are in the northern tip. It's kind of a elongated shape. And on the west side of Brunnsviken is the park called Haga, which is like a royal park. There's a couple of castles in there. The princess lives there. They have their I think their summer houses there. But yeah, other areas there are open for the public, and there's a cafe, stuff like that. And we usually go that route. It's also the shorter route. But we went on the eastern part, and the eastern part actually has a walkway all around on the edges of the inlet, and it's a lot of these kind of walking. So if you walked straight off, I think it would be 3 or 4k, but because it's so many little coves in this inlet, it ended up being 9.5 kilometers. So it was a very, very long trip. It was a lot of bird sightings. It took me a long time because 3 hours for 9.5 kilometers is fairly slow. My boyfriend kind of triples that usually when he goes on his own, but hey, you gotta start somewhere. My goal with any kind of, like, I have a goal, and the goal is that I'm gonna be able to walk all around this inlet. Basically there are spaces where boats can go out to the sea, and there are places where we have to go over bridges to move on, but you have this road that goes all the way to the edge, and you can see the sea all the time, which is just beautiful. Also in the middle there is the Bergianska trädgården, which is basically a garden, the Bergianska garden, something like that, where you can see a lot of flowers and trees and stuff, and all the trees, different trees you can see have little signs that tell them what they are and so on. And again, a lot of birds. I love birds. I didn't have this camera with me, so I didn't get any fancy bird photos, but I did get some video on it. I probably won't attach it to this video. I will figure out later what to do with that. But yeah, it was a really great walk. We finished it at a coffee shop to get some coffee, to rest our feet a little before we went home. And it was just by a station to the train to go home, so it was quite simple to go there. It was like, we're going there anyhow, we're going there anyhow. But yes, that has been the very, very nice 2 weeks. It has been sunny. The temperature is just getting warmer and warmer. The beginning of these 2 weeks, we had 2 to 5 degrees outside. Some days even at like freezing temperatures. I think we also had snow and rain, a lot of rain. And then the beginning of this week, the sun came and the temperature has now risen to like 15 to 17 degrees Celsius. It is super nice. It is super warm and I'm so happy just being a part of it. So yeah, that was all from me this week. A little bit more upbeat than usual. I am going to edit this and get it uploaded for Saturday at 6 o'clock because that is when my videos goes up. And because of all of the sun, if you have watched this far, put a little sun emoji in the description down below, or in the comment section down below, I would say, so that I know that you have watched all through the video. It's always fun to know how many people who watches through the video. Yeah, I am gonna continue working because it's a work day and this is just lunchtime, but I will see you soon in 2 weeks time with another update. Yeah, I hope you have an awesome 2 weeks and I'll see you later. Bye.